Hello and welcome. My name is Sammy George, and if you're new here, I like to focus on natural looking, glowing makeup, but particularly for women with mature skin, just like me. So today we are going to talk about how to wear minimal makeup for mature skin. So if you like kind of that no makeup look, this is for you. If you're struggling with melasma, dark circles under the eyes, acne, scarring, redness, texture, any of the things, I want to introduce you. Hello. As you guys jump on, say hello. I'm so happy you're here. But I want to introduce you to Demi. So those of you that have been following me for quite some time know that I like to talk about Demi, which is kind of an innovative approach to color correction on the skin. It uses color science, and the color wheel to neutralize our distractions and tone the skin so that we can have vibrant skin with minimal makeup without, and here's the key, increasing the look of makeup texture. If you're like me, I have a lot of texture on my face, and that's actually how I found Demi. I started using Demi a year before I became an artist for two particular reasons. I have a lot of texture under my eye, and I was having a hard time mitigating creasing. And also I have cystic acne. So you'll see that I have a lot of acne, and to make it even better, there are freckles mixed in there. So sometimes you can't tell the difference between acne, scarring, and freckles on my face. But with that comes the texture that I get when I have a breakout. And the reality about texture is you can't get rid of the texture on your skin with makeup. Don't let anybody tell you that you can. But you can use products that won't increase the look of texture. And that's how I fell in love with Demi. So I want to take the time today to actually go kind of a beginner's guide. Step by step, what is Demi? What's the language of it? Can you tell me about color science? And we're going to do an application because I've created a Demi resource guide for you. I am so passionate about Demi. I believe that it can help women that have skin concerns and still like to wear minimal makeup, still feel good and confident, that I've spent a lot of time putting this together. The guide is really in-depth. I'm type A. It probably has more information than you would ever need, but I wanted to create this video alongside of it so that not only do you have the opportunity to read through it, and if you decide that Demi is something that you want to try, you have a resource guide after you make your purchase so that you can better understand your application. But I want you to be able to listen and see, because I know for me, I learn best when I can see it and hear it, and then I like to have something to reference. So if you're somebody that wants to take a peek at the resource guide, I'm happy to send it to you. Just DM me directly your email address and I will send it over. So I just finished that in the last couple days, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I don't know if you can hear the train in the background, but here we go. So let's talk about Demi. So the best place to understand Demi, hi friend, the best place to understand Demi is to understand color science. So color science is this little color wheel right here. What Demi does is we want to look at our face and determine where do I have excess color. And we're typically looking for three types of color: green, blue, and purple. And once we identify them, we then know that we can use the opposite color on the color wheel to neutralize that. Now maybe you're thinking, okay, green, blue, and purple, what about red? So as you follow along, I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible for you. So redness on the skin, other than a vibrant day one, like fire engine red piece of acne, is usually blue and purple. So when you're looking at the redness that I have here, and actually this acne here, broken capillaries under the nose, those are all blue and purple. So we're going to identify the color of our skin first. And here's kind of the quick way to do that. When you're looking at your skin, one, let's start with red. The only time you're really going to see a true red on the skin is day one acne, like I said. It's going to look angry and really vibrant like a stop sign. Other than that, redness is typically blue and purple. Next, we're going to take a look at blue. So what is blue? Blue for me is the easiest to identify because it's the darkest points of my skin, and I have a lot of them. So the inner corners of my eye, underneath my eye, and healing, like at the end of healing and scarring acne, is typically blue. So blue shows up like a shadow, and blue shows up like the deepest colors in our veins. Next, we're going to move on to purple. So purple, when I first started, often looked like blue to me. Like somebody said, look for darkness in the skin, okay? The difference between blue and purple is dark but vibrant. Blue is dark and shadowy. And as you start to play with Demi, you're going to know what color you're looking at because you will have tried something and it didn't work. Demi takes the willingness to learn something new, but the payoff is there. So we've talked about red, we've talked about blue, and we've talked about purple. The other color that you're really gonna look for in the skin is green. Green is what we see that looks muddy or dingy. For me, that's the outer corner of my eye. Certain parts of hyperpigmentation are sunspots and even freckles. So when you're looking at the skin, if something just kind of looks dirty or dingy, you know that that's green. So remember, when we're looking at the color wheel, if something is dirty or dingy and green, we're gonna neutralize it with a red. If it looks blue, which is dark and shadowy, we're gonna use an orange. If it looks purple, which is dark and vibrant, we're gonna use a yellow. And that day one red acne, we're gonna use a green. Now, sometimes your skin has multiple colors in it, like something's a blue purple or a blue green. Demi has kind of curated the product to already work for you so that it's not nearly as challenging as it seems. So for my clients, I find that most people can use 3 to 4 shades of Demi and be satisfied with their coverage, their color correction, and the vibrancy of their skin. Now, if you want to get a custom color match, that is my recommendation for you. Don't stress yourself out and try and guess what your colors would be. It's not worth it. Go into my bio, click on the link, fill out a custom color match, and let me learn what your skin concerns are. Because as I address mine today, they may not be the same as yours. The concept will be the same, and that's what I want to carry along with you, but the concerns may not be the same. I will say that most of my customers who are fair to medium skin tone that are dealing with acne are using these 4 shades, either GY1 or G1, and that's day 1, OY1 or YO1, and that's as it starts to heal, because healing acne moves from red to purple, and then O1 and O3, those are orange, and they neutralize blue. And blue is the end of the healing process or scarring for acne. So those are typically people's 4 go-to shades. If you're looking for under eyes and you want to correct darkness and not have a lot of texture under the eyes, people are typically looking at something to mitigate blue, which again is going to be O1 and O3. Something for for green, which is that mulchy outside color, which is usually RO1 or RO3. And then something for purple, which for me, I have dark vibrancy here. It is dark, but not as shadowy as this area. So that's purple. And I either use an OY1 or a YO1. So you're gonna see, even between acne and under eyes, you can take care of so many of the same concerns with the same product tins, which is why most of my customers, like I said, are satisfied once they reach 3 or 4 shades in their arsenal. You can definitely go one at a time, but understand Demi is spot treatment. You don't want to swipe this over large portions of the face. It is meant to color correct, color to color. So where you see blue, you're going to place orange. You don't put a lot over any large area. If you do, a couple things are going to happen. Since we are looking Hey, welcome. Since we are looking at spot treating this color and the formulation of Demi is different, the density is different, it will show as chalky in the areas that you are touching the color to the wrong color. So if I go in here and spot treat this blue with orange, hey friend, and I sweep it all over, the area that's not blue is going to show chalky. So I just want to touch color to color. We're typically looking at the size of a sesame seed is what we're looking to color correct, which is why you need a couple different shades for different areas, and it's why it's different than your traditional makeup line. So we're used to taking a brightener or a concealer and really slapping it under the eye, one color, and being done. For me, what happens when I do that is 2 things. 1, I haven't taken care of the deepest saturation on my skin. So this redness, this purple, it will seep throughout the day through that color. And 2, when I put a lot of product under my eye like that, I get a lot of creasing. Because I have creasing under my eye. I have fine lines and wrinkles. So with that comes placing product on it. And when you put a lot of product on that, that's the issue that you tend to have. So let's jump in. I am not going to do any sort of makeup as a person that takes a long time. I'm a busy mom whose goal is to color correct my issues, still look natural, still have some vibrancy without taking a ton of time. So my preferred method of using Demi is in conjunction in a hybrid method with 3-dimensional foundation, but I'm just going to use a really small amount of 3-dimensional foundation, which is Seint's main line. If you've been around here, you know what I'm talking about. If not, you'll see it all over my feed. So feel free to jump on there. But I'm going to use the most minimal amount of that product to kind of tone, get a little bit of a base, and then we're just going to color correct and we're done. So let's talk about what products are we going to use. So the first product that I recommend that you start with when you're doing Demi, whether you're using really a lot of 3D foundation or not, I recommend, hey, thanks friend. I recommend that you tone your skin first. I know, I remember you. I recommend that you tone your skin first. It's like when you tone your hair. When you tone your hair, typically like you're removing like a brassy color, an orange color warmth because you want to pull more of like that ash or coolness out of it. When you tone your skin with a bronzer, we're actually adding warmth into the skin. And the reason that we want to do that is that when you have a little bit of warmth in your skin and more of an even canvas to start with, you're actually going to notice less distractions. So we warm up the skin with a little bit of Bella bronzer, and I'm using the shape brush. I'm going to use this for all of my application other than spot treatment. We're going to keep it easy and incredibly light-handed. Because I want my face and my neck to match, I am going to pull a little bit down. So I do recommend that everybody start with just a little bit of toning. If you don't want to, you don't have to. The beauty of any makeup system is that it's really yours to decide what works for you and what doesn't. I find that this added warmth to my skin and toning this color already, if you noticed, has added some darkness to this outer area. I know we're adding warmth, but it creates a little bit of a shadow, creating a little more brightness right in here. And that for me is a really good way to start focusing in on less of the things that are concerning by adding a little bit of warmth into the skin. The next thing that I'm going to do, and this is personal preference, you can choose to do it or not, is I am going to go in with a little bit of my contour, and I'm going to tell you why. I like to create a little bit of dimension in my skin by using the natural shadows that I have and adding a little bit of that ashier color to it, even when I'm using minimal makeup, because it just makes me feel a little bit better. I feel like if I can add that warmth in by toning with my Bella bronzer, and then the smallest amount of contour, and you can tell, I mean like the smallest amount, just to create a little bit of a shadow and sculpt out the areas that we naturally have shadow, I'm already starting to get a more even skin tone with very minimal effort. So that's it. I'm just going to add a little bit around here, up under the cheekbones, and I am done when it comes to contour. Now, if you're somebody like me who has large areas of redness, I think this next step is important. If you don't, you can go right into your Demi color correctors. But you will see I have redness here, here, underneath the nose, and on the chin. Can I color correct all of those with Demi? Absolutely I can. But it will take me a very long time because Demi touches color to color, and we're typically using more than one shade anytime it's larger than the size of a sesame seed. Imagine how many sesame seeds I have in those areas. If the redness doesn't bother you, you don't need to do anything other than maybe start working on your acne or under eyes, which is what I'm going to do next. For me, it is bothersome. So the easiest way for me to use minimal product, get good coverage, is to go into my 3D color corrector, which for me is Mango. And I am just going to tap, kind of buffing in the lightest layer on my redness. I am avoiding my under eyes. That's where I'm going to use my Demi. Demi is not meant to be layered. It is meant to be standalone, so you can use it with your 3D, but just don't layer them. Place them where you want them. I find that I get really great redness reduction by neutralizing that deepest saturation with my 3D color corrector first. And it takes way less time than it would take with Demi. And for me, these are not areas of texture concern. My under eyes and my acne are areas of texture concern. So if they are an area of texture concern for you and you want to try Demi in those areas, you can absolutely do it. Just know it's going to take a little bit of time. Hey friend, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Okay, you can already see that my redness has already started to mitigate. So we've neutralized a lot of that redness by adding this color corrector. For me, it's Mango. I would let you know what your specific color corrector is from a color match, but that's good. We're talking minimal makeup, right? So all I'm going to do from there is tap my main shade over top of it. My main shade is a more neutral color, and it will get rid of any of that excess warmth that was created when I put my color corrector down. And once you put a color corrector down, you want to tap, it's called stippling, as opposed to blending in a buffing motion. This is buffing. And the reason being is that we are looking to correct those areas of concern underneath. So I specifically placed my color corrector with intentionality on my redness and only on my redness. And then I want to put this on top of it in a thin layer. If I blend it, I'm just going to blend those two colors together, and it kind of defeats the purpose of the color corrector. It's meant to be layered in the thinnest layers possible. You'll see how thin this brush is. And I'm going in like one little tap at a time. And that's good. Minimal makeup it is today. All right, so my two major things that I like to do Demi with are acne and under eyes. So let's talk acne. Today we have a really challenging cystic acne breakout here. And if you know anything about cystic acne, it is very raised and it is very sensitive. So these ones, they're raised, but they're not as bad. These guys are also raised. This one is not, and some of this area is primarily scarring. So when you're considering your application on anything like cystic acne, you want to remember that your goal is to minimize increasing the look of texture, but you're not going to be able to remove the texture that's already there. That's why I love Demi, is that it won't increase the look of the texture in my makeup, and it's going to give me really good coverage. So I'm going to walk you through blemishes. I have a lot. I have a lot, so we could be here for a while. So I'll try and do this in like a fast and efficient manner. But I want to show you my Demi colors. So like I said, when you have day one fire engine red acne, you're typically looking at a green. GY1 is my favorite. Some people prefer G1. You can't really go wrong with either. I like GY1 because GY means green yellow, and that takes care of red purple. And sometimes I struggle with, okay, is this fire engine red or has it started to heal a little bit? Healing acne is moving towards purple. So the green yellow is taking care of red purple kind of at the same time. So that works best for me. This right here is either going to be green yellow or it's going to be more towards purple. Unfortunately, we're not going to know until we try. So it's time to move to the proper tool, which is the spot brush. Because this is color correction in the method of spot treatment, you need a small tipped brush. The spot brush is my favorite. Let's start over here. These guys will be a little bit easier. Neither are new, but they are not healed yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab either an orange yellow or a yellow orange, because remember, and I have to look up close, healing acne has purple in it. And all I'm going to do is tap it on, and I start with wherever I see the darkest point of the acne first. And I do have to use this little mirror, so hopefully you can see okay. And just like that, we have neutralized down the color of it. I'm going to go into O1 for the point in the center, because as I placed the YO1 there, I got good coverage on the outside, but that center dot didn't neutralize as much as I want it to, which tells me that I haven't quite identified exactly the right color on that darkest point yet. Now we have. Boom. All right, this guy right here. There's actually not a whole lot of color left on the top part, but there is a lot of texture. So I'm going to go into the bottom side of it, and I'm going to go right into O1. Remember, healing acne is first purple, then it moves into blue. This guy's been here a while. So there we go. My guess is that there was a lot of blue under there. The original texture is still there. The color on the bottom is gone, and it's not going to emphasize or increase the look of that texture. Now let's go up to this guy right here. So this looks red. It has been here a couple days. So remember, as it's starting to heal, it is likely moving from purple to blue. We can start with one that would color correct purple and see if it works. And it did. So even me, somebody who's been using Demi for well over a year now, I still have to assess my face every day, but I'm trying to give you the basic language of like how to assess that. I added a teeny bit of 01 underneath that original part because when I put the yellow down, I saw that it got rid of most of it, but there was still a little bit of darkness underneath. So if it's darker than purple, it's blue. So I went into 01. Orange color corrects blue. My goal in this video is to walk you through and kind of help you see like how I go about assessing them. These guys have been here for a long time. Honestly, I'm not even sure if we're dealing with acne or blood blisters. I don't even know. This one is really dark. So I'm going to go right to 03. 03 color corrects blue. And I choose the 3 because 3 means it's going to work with a deeper saturation level. We'll go in and see if it works here too. This one looks a little bit less dark to me and a little bit more vibrant. So it might have some purple in it still, but we'll see. Okay, so you see how that one kind of looks chalky? Chalky means the wrong color. So if it is chalky, you want to switch to a different color. So I had tried an orange because I thought it was blue. And now I'm going to try a yellow orange because since it's been there so long, I'm like, you got to have some blue in you. You've been there a long time. The issue that I have with color correcting this one, hey friend, is the texture. It's raised on the outside. But underneath is where I'm trying to get that into. And we're good. I'm satisfied. So we have neutralized that. And for me, that's way less distracting. You could get lost in color correcting your face, but you need to give yourself grace and say like, okay, what is bothersome to me about what I'm seeing that I want to neutralize and correct? And what really isn't? And when am I satisfied? I'm satisfied. Nobody's going to notice that except for me. Here we go. Let's see what we can do here. So because this is larger than a sesame seed, it's definitely going to be multiple colors. It is raised and it is textured. And my best guess for starting, this does look pretty vibrant in red. So I'm going to try GY1. Remember, green will color correct something that is vibrant. It has a little bit of yellow in it, which means as it's healing, it's moving into purple. So let's just see how this helps. And I'm just touching color to color. And I'm starting on the outside and working my way in. If I notice that it's chalky, then I'm going to switch colors. But so far, we're starting to lose some of the dimension that you saw there. I'm now going to move into my yellow because I can see when I get up close and personal that as I move towards the middle, and I'm using yellow, orange 1, as I move towards the middle, it's not as red. It is more vibrant. And on the furthest outside, it's actually the darkest. So we're going to try 3 shades here. So we started with GY1. Now I'm using YO1. Pretty good. And now this furthest area at the bottom, I'm going to go right to 03, which is my deepest saturation level for coloring blue. I said coloring, I meant covering. And I'm just tapping the points where I feel like it is darkest. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a minute. Now, right in between, I have 2 freckles. So we're gonna leave those alone. And I'm gonna go to this redness down here. This is rather new. So I am gonna start with my green. This may have come overnight, I'm not even sure. And that's doing a good side on that outer part. And now I'm going to move to the inner part, which I believe is a little bit more vibrant, and use one of my yellow oranges. And that one's almost gone completely. All right, so those are way less fiery red. This one I could play with, so here's my freckle. This one I could play with a little bit longer, but honestly, I'm satisfied. And like I said, I'm gonna let this one sit a little bit and see what it does while I take care of some of this. And then I can go back and reassess if I wanna add anything or if I'm satisfied. So the two things that you're looking at here are old healing acne, well, I should say three things: freckles and scarring. And the typical area, lucky for me that I have scarring, is this area that I've started to pit in. And if you deal with acne, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to pitting. Reason why, hey, how are you? Reason 157 why you should not pick at your acne. You know how hard it is if you have it. So let's start with this guy right here. So I have a lot of texture on the top. The top coloring is fine. Underneath, since it's been there for quite some time, it's likely healing or scarred at this point. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to start with 01. End of the line healing and scarring tends to be blue. And yep, that's working. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but I feel like it took me a really long time. And see, that's like gone. It took me like a really long time to understand like what I was looking at. So I'm trying to really be repetitive. And as I look at this scarring, it's been here a while. So I'm just going to try and tap on to multiples of these with 03 and see what it does. I always start with the darkest point. And that's doing a good job on all that. So I'm just going to keep going. Remember what I said about you got to give yourself grace and not overcorrect? Like, honestly, Demi's fun. So I catch myself being like, okay, that's enough. This is a freckle. This is a freckle. Let's touch these couple. And I'm just tapping that in to make sure that I don't have any excess. You can use your finger. While we're here, I know the new thing is like adding freckles back into your skin. If you are somebody who likes to remove your freckles, which that's not me, but I'm going to show you. If you're somebody who likes to get rid of your freckles, you can do freckle removal with greens. So freckles are actually a green undertone. They tend to be corrected with a red. So either an R01 or an R03, and that depends on how dark your freckle is. Or sometimes freckles have a little bit of blue underneath them. So you can use an OR product. So let's see. I'm going to see, this one looks a little bit darker than most. So I'm going to take R03, that's red orange with a deeper saturation, because this one looks darker and I know it's green. And I'm just going to tap it right on there and I can see it like disappearing. So if you are bothered by your freckles, or maybe you have like a strategically bad placed freckle, you can always use an R product for that. Okay. I think I'm going to leave this. Like, I'm not mad. It's like cystic acne is really rough, and I just don't want it to be vibrant red. I'm okay if it's still there, because the amount of time it would take me to go in seed by sesame seed to color correct that is not worth it to me. But I do want to show you under eyes. So getting rid of some of this acne, neutralizing it so that it doesn't stand out like it did, is definitely one of the things that has helped with my confidence. I didn't get acne until I was like 35 years old. So having never dealt with acne, even when I was a teenager, getting acne at this point in my life was really difficult for me. So when I learned how to color correct that acne, I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better, stepping out, a little bit of minimal makeup. I don't look like I have such acne on my face. And I know that's personal, right? Other people probably didn't even notice. But what I love the most about Demi is what it does for my under eyes, because I really don't like the look of texture under my eyes, but I value a little bit of brightness. So I'm going to show you, and it's hard to tell. You need to adjust your expectations. So we live in a makeup world where like what we want is this vibrantly bright under eye. And that's not what Demi's going to give you. Demi is meant to just neutralize and tone. So remove some distraction, brighten the eye, no makeup texture, so you can add brightness without a lot of makeup. So I just want you to know, if you're a full coverage, like I want full coverage every day, Demi is not for you. You can spot treat your acne with Demi with full coverage, but really combining those two like color concepts is just kind of a waste of your time. This is really for somebody who likes natural to medium coverage, or you are a total makeup minimalist, which is me, like 50% of the time, 25% of the time. 25% of the time I don't wear makeup at all. The other 25% of the time I like absolute minimal makeup, and then 50% of the time I'm a 3D foundation, like natural wear through and through. But enough about me. So let's dig in. Here's how I like to start with under eyes. What is the darkest point underneath my eye? For me, remember, darkness looks like a shadow, it's blue. If I start with the darkest point, just like if I start with the darkest point on my acne, then I can neutralize that out, and then I can go back and say, is there anything else there that is bothersome? I do eyes with two brushes, the spot brush and the bright brush. The difference is this one has a little bit of a larger end, and it is a little bit softer. And while you're not meant to wash, this is like wash Demi over large areas of the face, I do like to cover some of these areas and underneath and tapping into this vein without as much precision because I don't need it, so I can do it even faster with a different brush. If I want to get directly on the vein, I can still spot treat it with this guy here. So starting in the inner corner, that's where I have the darkest point on my skin because I know, because I've tried it. A lot of people, it's the same. Either here or here is the darkest point of their eye. So for me, it's the darkest point. It's the deepest blue in shadow. I'm going to start with 03. I'm going to take the bright brush. This is 03, okay, orange. I'm going to tap just a teeny bit. I'm going to tell you a little trick about Demi. If it looks chalky, you either have the wrong color or too much, or if you put it on the skin and you see the color, you definitely have too much. So if I were to put this on and it looks orange, I've applied too much product and I need to go in and tap it off. So just that little bit right there has already opened up that eye. The next darkest point is this right here. And I know that that is typically still 03 for me. I'm going to tap that on to that area. I'm going to go ahead and grab my spot brush because you may not be able to tell, but I have a specific vein that runs through there. Actually, when I look like this, you can't. It's kind of scary. And I'm going to draw that down the vein. And now I need to pat that out so that there's no excess product. Excess product will lead to creasing, and that's the opposite of what we want. And I'm just going to go right back to my other one. As this vein comes down, it is still blue, but it's not as dark. So I'm tapping it with 01. So now you can start to see the minimal makeup coverage to get some brightness under the eye. So when I talk about like adjusting expectations, this eye is not going to be vibrantly bright, but look how much brighter it is here. and I'm not going to get creasing. At the end of the day, I will have no makeup creasing even 8 hours later. And I like to tap it with my finger as I go, just to make sure that there's nothing excess there. I'm gonna move down to here. I'm gonna go back to the spot brush with 01. That's the end of that vein, where it's starting to fade out. Remember, veins are blue. Thanks, friend. Veins are typically blue. Sometimes there's a little bit of green. But if you're working with kind of like the 4 shades that typically most people are, you'll have what you need to kind of trial and error it. So it's no big deal. You just have to know you're learning something new, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Okay, for me, the next area of discoloration that I have typically on both sides, though not in the exact same spot, is this sunspot. And sunspots usually have a green or a blue or a green-blue underneath them. So if we are color correcting green, remember we're using red. And if we're color correcting blue, we're using orange. So I'm gonna go right into my R01 or R03. That's red, orange 1 and red, orange 3. I'll start with 1 and see, just by tapping the darkest points of the sunspot, all I really wanna do is kind of break it up a little bit. This is the one thing that's actually easier to see. See how that looks chalky? I'm just gonna wipe that off. That's why I know I need something a little darker. If I break kind of up the large sunspot and just get rid of the darkness around the outside of it, and at one point that I know I have in the middle, then it brightens up the eye and I don't have to worry about doing the whole thing. I could, but like I said, I want it to be fast. So when I look at that sunspot, I have like one more area right here that I want to touch, and then I think I'm good. And sometimes with these larger areas, looking further away helps, because you can see like what somebody else would see when they're looking at you. Where if I go in close here, this sunspot is about like this big and it feels like it has 75 different colors, but what is really somebody else gonna see? Just that little bit there. I kind of broke it up so it's not such a circular sunspot anymore. We've gotten rid of the parts that are in the darkest saturation. That'll keep my under eye light and bright, and we're good. So now what's left for me is this area right underneath the eyelash and the outer corner. I probably have a little bit of eyeshadow on there, so we can wipe that off. But the outer corner of my eye is always mulchy and dingy, which means it's green. We color correct green with red. So we'll just use our bright brush here. I'll start with R01 and just tap in. And it's like a little facelift out here by your eye. See how that brightens that up? And we're good. All that I have left is under here. I know for me that that's purple. It is dark and vibrant. It isn't dark and shadowy. So I'm going to go into one of my purple correctors, which is either a Y01 or an OY1. And just starting out here where the color is darkest, I'm going to wash that just a little bit underneath that eyelash. And I'm satisfied. So I'm gonna talk and quickly do this eye. Going into the darkest points first. Inner corner, my vein. The top part as it comes down. And let's tap those in. You don't want excess color. Darkest points are blue. They're shadowy and dark. We color correct with orange. This is 03 because I know for me that it's my darkest point and needs that level of coverage. Sometimes I watch back the videos and I'm making these faces. I'm like, oh God. All right. Inner corner, down that vein. Pretty much done. if you do have questions while you're watching, you are welcome to throw them in there. You can always message me directly. Even if you're a fellow artist, I got you. All right. Now I know as I move down that blue, it is going to be lighter. So I like to touch it with 01. Started with 03, move it down to 01. See how it just looks light? Like you can tell where we're going and like where we still haven't been. And it's so subtle, but it makes a difference, and it's gonna last all day without creasing. Like I can't say it enough. If you struggle with under eye creasing, if it bothers you, this is your best friend. All right, I feel fine about that. Don't get perfection-y, says a struggling perfectionist. Boom. Let's move on to our sunspot. Remember, sunspots are typically green or blue underneath, so we color correct green-blue with red-orange, just touching the deepest points. I can see those in here. And the concept is going to be the same for any color concern that you have on the face. Under eyes are the hardest. You have to be patient. You have to learn your face. But once you do, they're amazing. And textured acne is really difficult in general in life, but also while learning something new. So because I'm blessed with both texture under the eyes and cystic acne, I figured, why not get on here and show you how it works. So I hope that the general concept that I'm teaching makes sense and that you feel like you can extrapolate it to whatever your color concern might be. If you specifically want to discuss any of the concerns that you have, just let me know. Like I said, don't guess. And if you want the resource guide that walks through in this same manner everything we talked about today, just reach out to me, drop your email, and I will be happy to send that out. Remember, for me, under here, it still looked dark, but it was dark and vibrant, which means it's purple. So I'm correcting that with a yellow-orange. And there we go. I hope I remembered to take a before. I'm not even sure if I did, but that feels so much better with literally such minimal makeup. The only thing I like to do, maybe do a little bit of lip, throw on a little bit of blush. If you struggle with redness in your blush area, try and use a blush that has kind of a peach base to it. Same color concept, right? If redness is blue and purple, then using something that has a peach will neutralize it and not emphasize it, especially since we really did not do a lot to color correct the redness underneath. Thanks, friend. Totally minimal makeup over here. One, because I ain't got a lot of time, but two, because I have a lot of texture. Like, if I'm going out and doing, let's call it glam, if you will, it takes me a long time to do some glam makeup and not emphasize texture. Using my Seint 3D contour, again, versatility of products, I'm going to carve out my lips, kind of underlining and overlining, just so they look a little bigger. And then I'm going to take that same lip and cheek color. I'm not even remember what it is. Saint Tropez, maybe? And then I love, let's see if we have it over here. I like City Beauty a lot. I like to put a gloss over a matte. And we're done. That is Demi in a nutshell. She's like my favorite. So if you have any questions, I am more than happy to help you. So just reach out, whether you're a current artist, whether you are a current customer, especially if you're a current customer. If you have any questions or concerns, you always have me. And if you're somebody who's considering this, I will always help you first. you need to know if this is something that will work for you. And I want you to have that conversation with me as opposed to trying to figure out, is this going to work? And then trying to guess on your own. That's such a waste of time and of your stress. So let me help you. Hey, I'm so glad. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. And remember, if you want the resource guide, just message me directly. Just send me over your email address and I will get it out to you. Have a great day. And as always, thanks for being here.